On the coordinate plane, coordinate plane has two O's in it because it actually has a prefix. The prefix is the CO, the first CO, which we've talked about that prefix before. We're going to talk about it again in a second.
Wait, it's two O's?
Two O's because it's co-ordinate. All right. So for our first vocabulary word, we have kind of a lot of vocab, but they're all like pretty short vocab. And then we just have some short notes, and then you have the rest of the time to do your practice work. Our first vocabulary is x-axis. So a coordinate plane, coordinate, co means both. So this is one of the things it's made out of is the x-axis. Can anyone remember what the x-axis is?
Is it this one?
Yeah, it's the horizontal one. Okay, and it's called the number line. It's really just a number line. You guys have worked with number lines lots. So it's just a horizontal number line. So if we drew a horizontal number line, that means it goes side to side. And we would have tick marks on it. Tick marks are the lines. When we label the numbers on the number line, do we label the space between or do we label the tick mark itself? The tick mark. So this middle tick mark we're going to keep as 0 for today. Doesn't always have to be 0 in the middle, but we like it to be 0. Which way do the positives go? To the right. So 1, 2. And again, we're labeling it right underneath that tick mark. And then to the left would be -1, and then -2. And again, it goes right underneath those tick marks. All right, so that's the x-axis. What is the other axis?
Y.
Good, the y-axis. And what do we know about the y-axis? It's the vertical number line. Elena, quit being mean. Just being mean today. So vertical means it goes up and down. I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller so it doesn't take up as much space. And again, we have tick marks. I'm going to make that middle tick mark a 0. What would be the tick mark right above the 0? A 1, and then 2. And remember, we're labeling the actual line. We're not labeling the space between. Below 0 would go -1, and then -2. So we always want to start at 0 and kind of work our way out. So, a coordinate plane. Remember, what does that prefix co mean? Together. So, coordinate plane, coordinate plane means the x and y axis together. So it's really the space that's made by that. So we're going to have the y-axis going up and down. You can draw this one a little bit bigger because we're going to put some words over on the side here. And then we have the x-axis going sideways this way. Oh. Okay? So, on a coordinate plane, this is kind of like that directions that we just talked about in your warm-up. You want to be able to tell people where we're placing a point. And so to tell that person the point, or the ordered pair, we're going to use that. So an ordered pair ordered pair is a location. So it's a spot on the coordinate plane that we want to specifically talk about. So like the resource center is a specific spot at Apollo. Okay? And to talk about it, we're going to use both the x coordinate and the y coordinate. So the x number and the y number. So we do that with parentheses. X, comma, y. X always goes first. That way you know where you're headed. And then y. So x tells you to move left and right, because it's the horizontal number line. Just like how this is a horizontal number line, it goes side to side. And our y tells us to go up and down. All right, couple of things, other things that are important. 2 more words, and then we're going to do an example. And then you get the rest of the time to work. Next word is the origin. We're going to use that word so much this year.
You cannot see.
You cannot see.
No.
Let's figure that out. There we go.
Yay.
Origin.
What's that?
I hear the word origin a lot because I am a superhero fan. What does it mean for a superhero to have an origin story or a villain? Tyler?
Like where it came from.
Like where it came from. So an origin is where we start. Like where did it start from? In number lines, where do we want number lines usually to start from?
The middle.
The middle. And what is this middle?
The origin. 0.
The origin, 0. So the origin is the 0, 0. It's this point right here. It's where the x-axis and y-axis meet. It's that starting point. All right, last word is quadrant. What prefix do you see with quadrant? Quad. What does quad mean? 4. Hence, when you have your quads, your muscles, you have 4 of those muscles. That's why they're called quads. Quadriceps, okay? Or if you ride a quad, sometimes we call 4-wheelers quads. I don't know. Okay? Quadrant is one of 4 parts in the coordinate plane. So in our graph up here, the quadrants have numbers. They have specific places so we can talk about them. So if I say quadrant 3, you know in general what space I'm talking about. It's not an exact location. It's kind of in the general idea of it. So quadrants, what's kind of silly is that they go in a C pattern. And I think C as coordinate plane. So where I start the C is up here. This is quadrant 1. And then where would the C go? If I drew a C. To the left. So this is quadrant 2. And then it goes down to quadrant 3. And then we end in quadrant 4. All right, what you're going to do real quick is you are going to take these graphs that are in your table. You're going to just cut one graph. It doesn't need to be beautiful. Just cut it so it's a graph.
I don't even know your version. I don't know why.
You just need one. Yeah, well, you're going to paste it in, so yeah, cut it.
But what?
The graph. And you're going to paste it in your notebook. If you don't have enough space down here, you can go to the next page if you need to. Hopefully you have enough space. I had to trim mine a little bit more.
Just one?
Just one.
Oh,
Doesn't matter what side you glue it because it's back to back.
that makes sense. Can we use a heart?
Okay, glue that in. There's 2 glue sticks in your tub, so you might need to share.
Why is it what? That ruins all the time.
I'm going to give you about 40 more seconds for that. Doesn't need to be perfect.
Can we even do a speed run now?
That's a half hour. I can relax, sorry. I get nervous when we have an advisory because I forget what time we get up, but we still have 30 minutes left.
Oh,
Yeah, plenty of time.
Oh, that's gonna be awkward. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, we had advisory today. Oh, yeah.
Alright, next page.
All right. So on our coordinate plane, I'm going to give you a little bit more time. You have to glue that in. If you haven't glued that in, glue that in. If you have space down here, glue it in at the bottom. If you run out of space, go to the next page.
I have plenty of space. Yeah, you guys ready for your
Some people I feel like we either have people have plenty of space or people have like no space. It's very
They
confusing.
fit in between 10 lines exactly. Look at that.
Whoa.
Oh, line. I'm so proud.
Nuts.
I wish I was that cool.
Alright, doesn't have to be perfect, just has to go in your thing.
I'm sorry, you don't stink. Yeah, no problem. You're welcome.
Alright, I'm going to take 2 highlighters and I'm going to use the same 2 color highlighters the whole time. So I'm going to use pink and yellow. If you would like to grab highlighters, you can use highlighters. They don't need to be pink and yellow, but you can choose.
Blue and pink, because it kind of is a color colors.
Alright, the yellow I'm going to use to highlight this guy. What is that?
That's the water.
The y-axis. So anytime that I have a y, I'm going to think it's on the yellow. So if you want yours to be yellow, do yellow.
How'd you make it such a straight line? I don't understand.
So talented.
I know.
Alright, and then I'm going to highlight the other axis with my other color. So I have 2 colors. What is that other axis called? X-axis. Alright, when we labeled the number lines before, what part of the number line did we label? Did we label the lines or the spaces? The lines. So when we label our graph, we want to label the lines. So this middle one is going to be a 0, and we actually just put it right on top of that line, 0.
On like the middle?
Yep, right where they cross. That's our origin. That's that middle.
Doesn't show up. I'm gonna
And then this next line to the right, I'm on top of the line. I'm going to put a 1 there. You need to make it nice and dark so you can see it. It's up to you.
I'm using 10. I've been using 10 this whole time. We're on pencils.
Okay, and then on the next line is 2. So when we label these, we are labeling the lines.
Pencils are so messy.
And then you can keep going all the way up to 6. So that's kind of the biggest mistake I see when people label their lines or label their graphs is they want to put those numbers in the spaces because it looks better. I understand it looks better to put it in the spaces, but the 4 is actually this line. That's the tick mark. tick mark just goes all the way up, all the way down.
My fingers are...
Alright, similar in the other direction. We're going to start at 0 and then work our way backwards. So from 0, we're going to do -1.
Oh.
-2, again on that line as best as you can. -3. -4. -5. -6.
Where's this one?
So it goes on the line. And then same thing happens when we do our y-axis. When we do our y-axis, sometimes people want to skip that first line for some reason. I don't know why. It's there. I see it. So from that 0, we're going to go up, and that first line gets a 1. We want it to be really close to that. We don't want to write it way out here. We want to write as close to the actual black line as we can.
Are we supposed to do it on the other side?
I always do it on this side. I don't know. You can do it on either side. It really doesn't matter. I do it on this side. It's just the way I always do it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, you're labeling the lines. And we want that to be close to the black line. We don't want to give it too much space because then we forget where things are. And then our last part is just the negatives below. When we do the negatives below, do I want to start at the bottom and count up? No, we always want to start at our origin. We always want to start at the middle and then count away from the middle. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. So that's going to be one of the biggest things about your coordinate plane. If you've struggled with plotting points before, one of the biggest things is just getting the labels on there correctly. Okay? Alright, we are going to do 4 points on our coordinate plane. Yep. I love this thing. Close enough. Alright, so point A. We're going to do A is 3, 2. So with 3, 2, which one is our x coordinate? 3. So that's my pink. You match it with your x-axis. So look at your x-axis. Whatever color you did your x-axis, you can match it. Yeah. And 2 is the y-axis. So it always goes x, y. So I'm going to start at my origin. I'm going to start at my O, my 0. And I want to go to 3 on my x-axis, which in this case it's really easy for me to see. It's a pink one. Okay? So 3, that's positive. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and I'm on that line. And then I go positive 2 on the yellow, which means I'm going to go up 1, 2. And the point goes right where those two lines meet, where they intersect. And that is point A. So we're going to just put a little A there. So we started at the origin. What was the first movement we did? Right, 3. And then what did we do with the 2? Up 2. So remember that x-axis tells us to move left and right. The y tells us to move up and down. All right, so for B, we have -2, 5. Which of those numbers is the x?
-2.
Good, -2. Which number is the y? 5. So again, we start at that origin. -2 tells us to move which direction? Left, because it's on the pink, so I'm just looking either right or left. So I'm going to go left, -1, -2, and then 5. Up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Good job.
So this time we went left and then up.
Are we ever going to go down?
Are we ever, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, some point in our lives we probably will. All right, C. We got 2 more points and then we got the rest of the time for practice. So for C, we're going to do 0, -4. So go ahead and highlight those with your X and your Y. 0, -4. So I'm thinking, where is 0 on the x-axis? Right in the middle. So am I going to move left or right to get to 0? Neither. I don't move at all. So I'm going to just kind of put an X there telling me to stay put. And then where am I going to go for -4? Down. So I'm on my actual yellow line here. I'm on that y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's on the y-axis. And that is point C. Okay, so that 0 told me don't move left or right at all. Stay put. Just go down 4. All right, last one is point K. Just to annoy you. If you want to make it point D, you can. All right, we had -2, -1. So everyone try plotting that on your own first. I'll give you about 30 to 40 seconds to plot that, and then check with me and see if you got the right answer. When I say check with me, I mean I'll do it, and then you can just check your work. Yeah, I forgot what the coordinate plane, what the points were. It didn't look right. Beautiful. All right, how am I going to get to the -2? Which direction do I go? Left 2, and then with the -1, down 1. So from that middle, I'm going to go left 1, 2 on the lines, down 1. And there's my lovely point K.